Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it is time for my client Alex's Dadbod to Daddy transformation blog. And for those who've been following this series, you've seen some of the pictures. He's actually started again. We're just slowly leaning out now. He wants to get down a little bit leaner. We didn't do any cuts previously. Like in the time I had him, he gained something like 3 pounds over a couple of years. People who remember the before and after, people were like, oh, he looked better in the before, even though he's leaner and his waist was smaller. Because it's funny how people are with that though. They're like, for some reason, certain segments of lifters think that at higher body fats people look better. When the reality is he gained weight. He literally gained 3 pounds in that time, but his waist went down several inches. And I think people forgot that his squat and deadlift went up 100 pounds in that time. He was objectively bigger and stronger. But for his training right now, what we do is we have a push day, a pull day, and a leg day. And it's because he's super, super busy. This is what we can squeeze in. He has less than an hour per workout, but we get it done. All right, and he has a 405 squat. We've got a mid 400s deadlift. He can do weighted pull-ups. So all things considered, we do really, really well with the limited time that he can commit. It's like I said, he's even done a home gym just because of the time crunch for him. He's like, then he doesn't have to commute, doesn't have to deal with the gym. He can just get in and do this after work. He can get in and get his 3 workouts in. And then he gets on with his busy life. So we do a push-pull legs for him right now. So at the moment, and we rotate lifts. You guys will notice over the course of this vlog, we do change the lifts a little bit as we go. I don't take out the squat, bench, the deadlift, the reverse hyper, or the pull-ups. So those are constants. We've done stuff like adding the incline. Then we've had overhead press. I've rotated it to dumbbells. So right now we're putting a little more chest focus because pecs have always been kind of his weak link. His bench is his weakest lift. So we're throwing in a little bit more pectoral supplemental work because that's really what we need. So we do flat bench, we do incline bench, then we do dumbbell presses, and we do dumbbell extensions on his push day, right? That's what we do on the push day. So it gives us basically chest. We do the most volume for chest. This is 9 sets a week. Now, given how little training we do, like 45 minutes, 3 days a week, that's actually a fair amount. All right, the pull day, we usually do a heavy single on the deadlift. I do anywhere from 405 on some weeks all the way to sometimes I'll peak him up to a PR. And it's like, oh, let's see if we can get a lifetime PR. This moved really quick over here this week. I think we're good for it. And I'll just program it in and not even tell him. He'll just see the number and go for it and be like, coach, that was a 5-pound lifetime PR, So we just throw that in. So then afterwards, he does weighted pull-ups. So you guys know how I feel about that. That's my big 4 right there. Squat, bench, deadlift, weighted pull-ups are usually the foundation for most of my lifters. Then I have him do barbell rows. We worked on getting stricter. I told him before they weren't really strict enough. So we've adjusted the weights. Now he's doing these really strict, and he's like, yeah, these are humbling. These are humbling. But this gives us 6 total sets for his lats. There's some spillover, obviously, to the biceps with the pull-ups and stuff, but we still obviously need to do curls. But again, just to make sure that everything gets at least 3 direct sets for the most part. Afterwards, we do laterals, right? And I'm aware we have incline bench. I'm aware we have rows. And yes, that will hit delts. It will all hit side delts to some extent. Few sets in there just to make sure we get those side delts and we look a little wider, right? Because again, what makes us look a little bigger when we're wearing a t-shirt? Lats, delts, the stuff that makes you look wide, okay? So again, think of what we talk about with the dad bod. Dads are out there always think of it being able to be in a t-shirt and some shorts over by the barbecue pit or at some sort of event like that is usually what they need to look big, right? So we need to look good in a t-shirt and shorts. We need to look like we lift. And that's kind of the whole point of when I talk about dad bod transformation. It's not always about do they need to look amazing shirtless. It's definitely, though, if they're doing a barbecue or something. But even then, yeah, shirtless, they need to look it too. But it's always kind of the look of what I think of for guys who we want a dad bod transformation. When they're hanging out with the other dudes and the other dads, when they're in t-shirt and shorts, do they look like they lift? So then obviously we do some curls there also. All right, his leg day is by far the most difficult. That's why we do it at the end of the week. We do back squats. So he's doing like sets of 6 with 315 here. All right, this is what we're up to. We've built up to that over time. He's getting 6 on a couple of them, then he ends up with like 5 reps on the last one. Then we do good mornings with 315. So please note, I always have him do a power good morning because he's now strong enough on these that we have to. And this is a bit of a point of confusion for people. They're like, at what point do we have to go to a power good morning? When you get so strong that when you do a normal, closer stance, full range of motion, you're at your body weight for sets of 25 reps. Like, we're just not getting the stimulus anymore. So you have to change the technique to go up with weight, because people are like, well, couldn't we just do stricter and lighter? Well, you would think, but we get to a point to where it's just so many reps that we go over to this. And I've done some of that. I mean, then again, I've also done, 275 for sets of 20 in the past on some of those. But the idea is, again, that's why we have to go to that when you reach a certain strength level. But it carries over to the squatting, right? I mean, he squats 4 plates. So again, we're expect to see a power type good morning in that range. So then to make sure we get enough quad work, we do 3 sets of squats. I have him do 3 sets of lunges. Again, smaller finesse movement just to work all of that. And the same thing with the posterior chain. He bought a reverse hyper and we use that, so we do good mornings and reverse hypers, and that covers his posterior chain outside of that one heavy single on the deadlift. And just like Matthias's vlog, I have to think of that low back fatigue with some of that too. Why? Because he's a guitarist in a band. Team Blaha's got a lot of musicians. For some reason, we attract a lot of musicians to Team Blaha. Just funny how that works. So yes, literally 2 different clients who have bands and do gigs. So then we finish up with the reverse hypers, which again, it's nice to have access to one. I'm glad he found a good deal, a good bargain on one. I used to have this same model, this same Titan one myself. It's actually a really good economic purchase, So again, it works. So he grabbed one of these. I always tell people though that the Titan ones are a good price, but that machine is bigger than you think it is. People buy one and they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be fit in a little corner. Then they get it and they're like, I can't believe how big this thing is. It's like twice the size I thought it was going to be. I had a client who did that and I was laughing. I tried to warn him he was going to put it in his bedroom, and it's like, well, oops. It was bigger than he thought it was going to be, and I tried to tell him, but he didn't listen. But yeah, so we finish up with the, it wasn't him, obviously, it was a different client. So we finish up with the reverse hypers to finish a week off. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.